What's up, YouTube? We're trying out a new list today. We got our Temur list going, and you wouldn't be able to tell it from this opening hand, but yeah, we're gonna keep this. Double DRC on the play, really strong. And with our cantrips, we should be able to find lands. I'm gonna run out this first DRC. When you have double DRC, you want to be pretty aggressive, I would think. Joined in the Discord by some patrons. Testing this out live. Alright, we're gonna preordain because it gives us the most looks for that extra land. Alright, definitely don't want Tarmogoyf here. Okay, well, that breeding pool sucks. I guess we can actually top the Underworld Breach just to bin it towards Delirium, so I kind of like that. Like, if we just shock this, now we can bin this Breach, and we'll have Delirium. Do we want another Breach? Probably not. I mean, we don't have a Bauble yet, but with double DRC, the Breach does have pretty good potential to go crazy, but I just think we're really looking for a land in this spot, so that we can play our second DRC with Counterspell up next turn. Spell Pierce also phenomenal. Still not sure what our opponent's up to, but Flooded Strand could mean a lot of things. Watery Grave off the Flooded Strand. Alright, now I'm thinking... Oh. Okay, yeah, that is what I was thinking. I was thinking it's Goryo, so let's see if we can have a master class in taking on the Goryo's deck. Solitude just right off the bat there. That's interesting. They don't even have the opportunity to blink it, but I'm gonna get down this DRC. They could have Ephemerate on the Archaeologist, I guess, but another Archaeologist. That's okay. They pitched a Faithless Mending. Alright, and they get a Prismatic Ending off the Archaeologist. Okay. I'm not countering the Archaeologist there because I think what's more valuable is... Oh, whoa. Unearth. That is some new technology. And, some very effective technology, potentially. Drawing that Flooded Strand there means we can... Are they considering another Solitude? I mean, now that we see the Priest of Fellrights, we may have to counterspell a Solitude here because pressure is going to be important at stopping their Priest from just taking over the game when it brings back Atraxa. Just to make sure I understand what Priest does. So it says, pay 3 life, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yep, so what I'm thinking is, I mean, we can kill the Atraxa when they Priest it. We have double Unholy Heat, but we need to then be able to actually kill them pretty quickly because the Atraxa could find the Solitude or something. I think I'm gonna fetch here. Get a Surveil land. There's a good chance I feel like we have to counterspell this. Unfortunately, I'm not loving the position, but the Priest is just so brutal here that it feels like there's not a great other option. Like, if the Priest weren't in play, I would feel we have inevitability. Or not inevitability, but we can at least play to stop their combo. Now I'm afraid of something like they could just grief me and then have the Goryos here. Well, there's no point in really spell piercing this. It actually puts them down to 9, which means we could, you know, kill them with the DRC hits twice, or at least shut off the priest. Unfortunately, actually, hold on a second. Man. I tried to set an upkeep stop. I should have maybe considered killing the archaeologist there. Now they just kind of have the green light to go for the Goryo's Vengeance. Notably, they don't have any lands in hand, so the priest is actually not a worry. Really, I mean, kind of a worry. Playing this polluted delta here is just gonna put our hand face up that we have, you know, no counters. So I think I want to at least make them worry about that. I don't think. I mean, it does get a surveil land, which is valuable. So there's some consideration to playing it, but okay, well they just go for it anyways, which is fair. And now we have to face the question of like, do we kill this Atraxa on the stack, or do we let it resolve? I mean, if we let it resolve, they can look for. I think we just let it resolve. There's a lot of cards here that would make things kind of weird. I mean, they know about... Well, no, they could find Grief plus Ephemerate. We should actually probably just try to kill it now. I think that's our best bet. Because if they find, like, Grief, they can Grief us, forcing out the Unholy Heats. We just have to hope they don't have the Ephemerate already. Man, that archaeologist actually got a ton of value for them, so... You know, post-board we'll have Stern Scolding in, which can counter archaeologist as well as Solitude and Grief. And I'd be pretty happy to use it on any of those cards. Alright, I think let's bin a Goyf. It's not going to really do much against this double archaeologist. Really hoping that there's no Ephemerate. Oh, I thought that Goryo's Vengeance would... Oh, it just exiles at the beginning of the next end step. Wow. Okay. They did find Grief and Ephemerate, so we got kind of paid off for our play. And they didn't find another Goryo's Vengeance. We could have another Goryo's in hand. They do. Okay. Well, they get to hit us for 7 here. But the damage is basically limited to that. Plus they get a bunch of cards. Things are not looking good, for sure. What could get us out of this? Well, like another Underworld Breach could maybe make some headway. It would draw us like 7 cards, which would be pretty nice. So they have a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's not good. They can actually just unearth the... We're dead this game. They can just unearth the thing next turn. Alright, let's bring in... Stern Scolding, Spell Snare, Blood Moons. Do we actually want these Underworld Breaches against them? I don't really think so. I don't really think we want Unholy Heats either. I think Subtlety's good, probably. Pick Your Poison does not seem good. Dress Down doesn't seem good. There's a lot of ways they can play around it. I feel like it's too likely to backfire. Like, even for example, if we flash in Dress Down and they respond, like in response to Goryo's, right? And they already have an Ephemerate in hand, they can let the Dress Down sacrifice and then Ephemerate their guy. Or just like, because of how the triggers stack on end step, their trigger resolves after our Dress Down is sacrificed. So because of that, I think it's just not, it doesn't work. If it was the other way around, I think Dress Down would be good. So our plan here feels like be pretty aggressive. Blood Moon is a plan for sure. while we're waiting for our opponent to sideboard, we're working on our prank deck list. I guess what else do we need in this deck list to make it complete?
You get it.
What card?
You get out the
Oh, Liliana. So good, yes. Liliana. That's perfect. That's exactly what we needed. And one Liliana Last Hope, probably, too. Alright, we're back in action. Well, this hand can't cast DRC and Tarmogoyf, which is a bit concerning. I wonder if this list actually can afford to play a Stomping Ground, because we're not playing as many blue-blue spells. But I decided not to start with one, because historically it hasn't been great in these teamer lists. We have the Bauble and the DRC to start looking for stuff, though. I feel like we can keep. But this might be a horrible keep. I think if we had a red and a green source, it's definitely it's like a very defensible keep, but without that, it's a little bit more suspect, I would say. We are gonna start on DRC turn 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, now I kind of regret keeping this, but definitely don't want Thundering Falls. We're kind of looking for, basically looking for counters, a green source, hopefully. Another Bauble. I mean, I think we are just priced into jamming the Tarmogoyf, unless we see... Oh, that was the one card I was going to say. If that card's on top of their deck, it's very scary to jam Tarmogoyf there without knowing for sure that we have backup. So maybe we are supposed to wait now in that case. Because Solitude Ephemerate would be so devastating. I just don't know... It's hard. I mean, they did bin this Grief. They let on this, though, so they could already have a Solitude in hand, or like a Grief in hand that they plan on ephemerating. Or their hand is kind of like a more streamlined combo hand, in which case we'd want to get the Goyf down to start attacking them. I kind of feel like... playing the Goyf is really risky in that case. That is why we bobbled them, right? So I think passing is okay. Next turn we can have Lightning Bolt up to protect from Ephemerate. And then the turn after that, Hardcast Solitude. I still don't have any counters, so that's not a good sign. Ooh, Stern Scolding works really well though. Though they might just be comboing here. If they do go for Tainted something or Faithful Mending, I'll try to tank a little bit to sell a potential counter. I'm scared. Man, this Solitude is so brutal because if we do Stern Scolding, they can just jam Goryos if they have it. But maybe we just can't play Afraid here because letting it resolve is also going to put us in a really bad spot. So it kind of feels like we have no... Yeah, it kind of feels like we have to do this. I'm wondering if maybe our sideboard should have had more copies of like Force of Negation or something. That could be a good card. Oh, we're cooked. Yep, okay. It was kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now we have to really hope they don't have the Ephemerate. Which is possible they don't. Actually, if they don't have the Ephemerate, we're in okay shape here. This Atraxa was not very impactful. It feels like they do have to have the Ephemerate, though. They did evoke Solitude to start, right? Though maybe that was just like truly them trying to bait it out. Maybe they don't have the Ephemerate. They pitched an Atraxa. They're really thinking on this. Well, they're thinking on that. We're thinking on the next new card to add to our Abzan list. We need some more lands, I think. Oh, we need like man lands.
Shambling Vent or
Yeah.
Antidote.
Shambling Vent's a good one. We'll get 2 of those in there.
Oh yeah, the
And then 2 Mishra's Bauble. Oh wait, Traverse the Ulven Wold. What about Traverse? No, Mishra's Bauble. We need Mishra's Bauble because of Delirium and then 1 Traverse. Or maybe 2 Traverses. We'll just cut an Inquisition and a Path to Exile and play. Pop. I feel like I need to rent this deck because I think it looks horrible when the cards have that border around them. Alright, hit me with your best shot, opponent. As long as your best shot doesn't include Ephemerate. Don't do it. Don't do it. Solitude? Okay. Nice. We live to fight another day. Okay, we got our Abzan list has arrived. Looks like we might be able to win this game actually. We're not in bad shape. Okay, we can respond with a questing druid. Seek the beast. Spell snare doesn't counter Fable. We'll bottom that. Spell Pierce does counter Fable. Very nice, very nice. Get some good value. They don't have an Atraxa in the bin right now, right? They needed this Fable to discard it. It may be. I think that's not true. They do have. I think they have like Faith. Oh, wait, actually, did they pitch the mending? No, they pitched Priest of Felrites. I like topping this Preordain here. Hopefully that helps us find another counter to kind of lock this one up. Interesting, because of how they surveil, we have the Ragavan. They do bin a Fable, the Mirrorbreaker, so... Let's start with the Preordain. I don't think we want this Bolt. We definitely want the Spell Snare. I don't think we want the Goyf. We'll dash a Ragavan. Prismatic Ending resolves. I think that they gosh. Now what did they choose? Let's see. Reveals. Chooses Atraxa, Goryo's Vengeance, and then they... So I think that they actually have an Atraxa in hand, and we should definitely spell snare this Tainted Indulgence. Because then the Atraxa is just stuck in their hand. It's not going to do very much there.
Oh.
Questing Druid, or Counterspell, a great draw. It's looking increasingly likely we can force another game. Dashing Ragavan here, I guess there's some risk if they... Well, they just... Their removal, if they were to Solitude this, it would not be a problem. We would just win. So they can't really remove this Ragavan here unless they have... Actually, do they play Leyline Binding? This list has a lot of different colors of lands. I thought it was just to cast the Atraxa, but I guess if they... And then red is for Fable. They could have Leyline Binding. But otherwise they don't have a way to remove the Ragavan for 1 mana. Now they're dead next turn. We dash Ragavan, bolt them, and then hit them for 6. The Druids hit for 4 plus, yeah. Alright. Off we go for the win with Counterspell back up. Should be good here. Boom. We got him. So we saw Fable. I don't think that's enough to bring in a null, to be honest. I think I still like our plan as is. The Blood Moon not making it so we can't cast Goyfs or Druids is kind of awkward, but we do have 4 Ragavans at least. So that's like 4 colored sources. Alright, this hand is clearly unkeepable. Just 5 lands, which is way too many, and no counters. This hand is clearly a lot more keepable. I think I want to keep... Oh man, I really want to keep the Subtleties in case they like have Grief Scam here. So I guess that means I'm putting back the Questing Druid. Ragavan being the other option to put back, which is actually probably not a horrible option either. I think I'm gonna actually pass here. The reason being I would like to have... Actually, do I even have a good reason? Or is there no good reason? Is there no good reason? Potentially. I was gonna say I'd like to have... Spell Pierce up, but... Like, the Spell Pierce would be to protect Ragavan, to be clear. Oh, Tainted Indulgence. Okay. Now I'm very scared of Goryos. Oh, never mind. I think we just top this. So we're very in on protecting this Ragavan, right? Because the Ragavan is going to be our colored source. Maybe just binning this is... binning this is fine, I think. Bobble them. Another Tainted Indulgence is fine. I was considering dashing there, but I think it's okay not to. Let's Subtlety this Grief. Wait, they don't even have white mana to ephemerate it? I'm actually kind of lost. I just noticed that. I'm not sure we actually cared about the grief then. It was a weird play by them. It kind of feels like maybe they're trying to force something through. Okay, Fable is what they're trying to force through. So I guess we are happy that we made this play because the Fable would have been pretty problematic. Alright, this is kind of the best of all worlds. We could get in with this Ragavan and then stick a Blood Moon. Alright. Oh no, the Falgi Archaeologist. That's actually super gross. The perfect answer. Oh, Fable. Okay. Well, we can trade with their Goblin token, but they do have a Swamp already. Okay. This Blood Moon is not going to be as effective. Ooh, they're even just taking it? Interesting.
It's a good raise.
That's a pretty good hit. I'm surprised they just took it, honestly. Oh, is their plan to Prismatic Ending my Blood Moon? I don't even know if I care, honestly. I'll just get rid of this. Oh wait, I just have a Stern Scolding for the Archaeologist. Okay, I need to focus up. That was a bad play also. Wow. I was thinking I don't really care about the Ephemerate or the Prismatic Ending, so maybe it just didn't really matter what I took, but yeah, the Stern Scolding could still be pretty good. They ditch a Grief and Ephemerate. Alright, so they have Prismatic Ending. And the Prismatic Ending, killing either of my two cards right now, I wouldn't really care very much. Now I care more. Oh, this game is played out weirdly. To be fair, the Archaeologist actually would have crushed me. Prismatic Ending Ragavan when I have another one in hand? Okay. Nothing. Yeah. Oh no, is it Grief? Brutal. DRC. That would have been good a turn ago, probably. So now they can up or draw step Grief us. Ooh. We have some decent draws. I guess if they do go for the whole Grief lock thing, we could draw like Questing Druid, get a ton of value off of it. Ooh, they're burying us with Fable though. Yep, we're just dead. Alright, that was a weird game. I don't think I've seen a list like this. Is this the default list now?
No.
The Fables were
I'll
definitely something. Alright, let's hop back in the queue. And while we're in the queue, I think passing here could be okay. We don't really know what we're cantripping for. I mean, I guess a counterspell would be well received, but other than that, we don't know. Blackleaf Cliffs. And yeah, the upside to passing is that if they play a creature, we just get to bolt it. Terminate or Molten Collapse. Oh my god. Unbelievable. I think here maybe I'll go DRC and then preordain, getting Delirium. Ooh, I think bin the Underworld Breach. And then top this land. We can fetch shock and play out a Ragavan. And this mana base is painful. This mana base is painful. Mount Doom. Speaking of a painful mana base. Don't mess with Mount Doom. Okay, terminate the DRC. I assume they must have something for the Ragavan. Just their own Ragavan. Wow. The blatant disrespect, honestly. That is actually disrespectful. I think we're going to let him get away with it. The safest play here is just to play Tarmogoyf and then pass and Questing Druid on their turn. But I'm not happy about it. After they disrespected us, killing our DRC and just giving us a chance to hit with Ragavan. Could it be a hardcast Grief? Oh, it's Dothy Voidwalker. That's a lot less fun. We'll fetch in response. I'll just grab an island. I don't want to be too crazy with my life total here. Another Dothy. Yeah, getting that island means at least we don't die in 2 hits from the Dothys currently. So that's good. Pick Your Poison does close to nothing here. I think I'll play Questing Druid before I dash Ragavan. I think it's more valuable to get the counter. And like all of their 1 mana spells that we could hit. So just doing the race math, right? This is 7 plus what will be 10 next turn, right? So that means that playing the Druid this turn is good. We hit Not Dead after all. I could just cast it for a counter. Which I don't hate. Yeah, sure, why not? Casting the Ragavan would be bad. Because it'd put a Ragavan... Well, maybe it's actually fine to cast the Ragavan there. So we have Ragavan in play, so they can't Thoughtseize it or something. Grief. Yep, there you go. They have a Grief. So they're dead to a Bolt here. Awkwardly, we cannot cast Pick Your Poison to grow the Questing Druid, so we're not presenting lethal if we draw a land. Oh, and they actually can Mount Doom us. Oh gosh, okay. I think we're just dead, right? They can Mount Doom us. of course. If they just block the... Oh no, they can't block Ragavan here. So we get to hit with Ragavan and hope for something that can win us the game. They have to block Tarmogoyf. Alright. Bolt wins. Any removal spell would probably win it for us. Sudden Edict! I'll take it. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. I will take it. Oh, they just concede. Okay. I think that they were still drawing life to Lightning Bolt, right? This is maybe a premature concession. Alright, we get to bring in all these. Spell Pierces probably aren't great. And then probably like shaving on these. Like DRCs are definitely more valuable when you have Underworld Breach, so I don't really want to cut all of them, but still want to shave on them because of Leyline of the Void. We have Questing Druid and Goyf, so maybe we just want to cut our Ragavans and actually keep our DRCs in, saying like Leyline's not that effective against us anyways. Then also Dress Down seems reasonable to have a copy of. Do we want both copies of Dress Down? Yeah. Probably okay without it. Ooh, this is one of my... Yeah, this is definitely a keep against Scam. Usually I like to mulligan hands like these, but against Scam, I like to keep hands like these. Just so much gas. We are gonna have to just kill this Ragavan here. So they clearly have Bowmaster, or most likely they have Bowmaster. So just holding up Stern Scolding is going to be our best course of action. I guess we don't have to Stern Scolding this. We could just Bolt, but I think Stern Scolding is the best play. Ooh, Fable of the Mirrorbreaker is a good one here for them. We'll get them some value. Ooh, we draw the land. That's nice. Potentially just actually passing with Questing Druid up was probably a pretty good play there. I should have definitely just done that. They could just have Bowmaster here. Yeah, this play was not... It was very sketchy, for sure. Not to mention I probably want to, like, Brotherhoods end them sometime soon, so... We'll go Thundering Falls. And Bin a Bolt. Looking primarily for removal, or the land to cast the Sweeper. Ooh, and this juicy the Sweeper will be if we do hit a land. Alright, passing here with Counterspell and Questing Druid up seems like pretty good. Guess we need to be careful using the Counterspell. Inti. I'm gonna let Inti resolve. If we use the Counterspell, we run the risk of our opponent having Dothy Voidwalker with a Counterspell under it. I'm kind of all in on hitting a land here and then just sweeping their board with Brotherhood's End. We do hit the land. So what were they holding on to, is the question. Could potentially be Bowmasters. I'm not going to use the Bauble just in case. We have Subtlety, Pitch, Counterspell, and we're pretty far ahead on cards, so I'm not too worried about that, but it is Bowmasters, okay. So I think I'm fine just going Lightning Bolt, Unholy Heat here. Or I guess what I should do is I should go Unholy Heat and then Lightning Bolt so that I don't have a Lightning Bolt under Dothy Voidwalker in the future, considering my low life total. Goyf. Well, I think Goyf is fine. We're gonna counterspell this. No, let's just fetch. Because I don't think we want to fetch a Breeding Pool. Taking 2 additional life. When we just have like counterspell, subtlety, it feels like we can just win off of that. Oh, an Underworld Breach should really help as well. Can go ahead and draw quite a few cards. They choose not to play the Dothy. Interesting. I guess that's somewhat fair, with their plan being... Alright, we can wait one more turn on the Breach, because I want to get more cards into our graveyard. Their plan is probably just to like overload us on one turn, or hope to overload us. Alright, now seeing this, I think I'm okay. Flashing Subtlety. Flash Subtlety block here. They play Dothy. I play Underworld Breach. I just shoot the Dothy. And then I bobble. I'm not sure I sequenced this perfectly, but I know that they are they're just in a lot of trouble. I think Kroxa is the card that gets them out of this, basically. GG's, our opponent says. Alright, GG's. I accept. Alright, let's go for one more and then I have to hop off. I guess if I think it's the mirror, I actually don't mind the additional land, right? Like the mirror often ends up being a lot of land drops and posturing, so I'll just keep the land. In these early turns, I feel pretty comfortable just jamming threats. I'm looking for ways to interact with Murktide Regent here. Potentially with like a Ragavan. I mean, I guess we take a land. When you have two Underworld Breaches in hand and DRCs in the graveyard, lands are not bad, especially fetch lands. We can go kind of crazy with these DRCs and Underworld Breaches, just draw a ton of cards. Our opponent fires the first expressive iteration, but we can potentially respond with Underworld Breach for 3 or 4 cards after we get double DRC. If they ignore ours. They do ignore our DRC. I guess ignore is the wrong word. I mean, I'm not sure they knew we were going to be Underworld Breaching them, but this Underworld Breach is going to be pretty disgusting. Let's get Hedge Maze. I'm going to bin Unholy Heat just because I want to bin everything, basically. And the second breach could flash back Unholy Heat at some point if we need to. Let's see, so we escape. We play 6 cards, -3. Okay, so this works perfectly if we fetch Shock here. Fetching Shock for Steam Vents. Is it too soon, actually? Let's see. So we get Steam Vents, Mill, escape DRC. That's -4 cards from the yard, so there's 4 left. Play Bauble. Now there's no cards left. And maybe this was a turn too early. We should probably do it next turn, to be honest. Alright, let's just preordain then. In that case, top another questing druid. Get in. Alright, our opponent trades. Fair enough. I realize that there's no pressure on the graveyard really in game 1, so we can play a longer game with these Underworld Breaches. There's no reason to just blow them now for 1 or 2 cards when we could be probably getting 5 or 6 of them in a couple turns. What would change that is if they play like a Murktide Regent, which puts a lot of pressure on us, but it's not really safe to play your Murktides until there are at least 6 6s in the mirror, so. They have Fawn. Interesting. I'll shock this in here and bobble them. Shocking because Questing Druid plus Counterspell is a reasonable combination of cards. They fetch away the Shredder, so don't know about any cards anymore. But it is good to know they have Shredder. Let's respond with Seek the Beast. And then we might as well consider now as well. Oh, okay. Look at that. Spell Snare. I will Spell Snare Murktide Ledger Shredder. You can't Spell Snare Murktide Regen. Well, we'll put our opponent to the test here and see if they do have a Force of Negation for Underworld Breach. Otherwise, we can draw quite a few cards here. Alright, well we don't have another red source to fetch. I think that's okay. We can consider once, which gets us back some cards, as opposed to bobble. Oops, don't get rid of the consider them, that'd be a bad move. Bidding everything so that we can just get one extra card off the bobble. So yeah, the fetch land would have gotten us an additional card. So a bit unfortunate there, but... Another DRC means our next breach will go more crazy. Picking up a counterspell there is really nice, but Murktide Regent coming down is not nice. We know our opponent also has a counterspell. We do have a counterspell of our own. So we're not completely... Like, if we draw Unholy Heat here, we're in pretty good shape. We do have Delirium, though we might not want to use the bobble right away. Uh-oh. Not double Murktide Regent. That's not good. That is not good. They did take down their counter spells here. I wonder... Can we bolt them out? No. We have potential for 3 bolts, so that would be 9 plus 6, 15. Not quite, so we need to find unholy heats. I guess the move is to bobble ourselves here, and then bolt a Murktide Regent if it's not unholy heat on top. Alright, so we're gonna bolt a Murktide Regent in upkeep. No. Okay, Preordain. Preordain. That's a good draw, right? Oh, pick your poison, and we have a breeding pool. Oh, perfect. We found the perfect card. Sack a creature with flying opponent. I actually should just bin all these. I guess I should fetch shock the breeding pool first. We found the one of pick your poison. That's hilarious. Alright, now we hope our opponent doesn't have a spell snare as their other card. Or a spell pierce. Alright, sacrifice a creature with flying opponent. I guess maybe we should be... Should we be bidding this Underworld Breach on top? Because it means we just get more Mishra's Baubles. We just get to, like, draw... Well, we actually don't... We can't afford to draw very many more cards. We probably just want to use this last Breach to bolt our opponent out. I don't think we actually want more cards. Maybe one... No... I think let's pass. We have the counterspell to protect it too, so maybe one card would have been okay. Wow, finding that pick your poison gave me a breath of life. That was sweet. Let's see if they want to kill this questing druid. Or counter this questing druid. Stern Scolding. So the last card is counterspell. So I'm not gonna play Bolt on top is good. I'm not gonna play Underworld Breach into their counterspell. So we can counterspell this, they have to counterspell back, and then we kill them. Probably just want to bolt them to not show them that we have another Underworld Breach. I don't think it really matters that we showed them the extra breach, but it could. received a call from my girlfriend. Going out for dinner tonight. Right after this. Alright, this hand seems pretty reasonable. Good mix of lands, spells, removal, counterspell. A solid keep in the mirror, which ends up being really grindy usually. Since they played the Bauble turn 1, it makes me think they're less likely to have Shredder, and if that's the case, I'm pretty willing to run out this DRC. I do expect it to meet a removal spell, but I still think it's okay to run out here because we have a Bauble of our own to get some value, and this could set up a Goyf and put the opponent on the back foot, which then backed up with Counterspell would be pretty strong. Alright, so they top... Oh, they have green too. Okay. Pick your poison, maybe? And they just go ahead and bolt the bolt the thing now. Do we have to bobble now? I guess there's no reason to bobble now. I think we're pretty likely to play Goyf here though, so I mean now we'll bobble. Yeah, let's just get this Goyf down. A 4/5 and our opponent doesn't have Delirium yet. We'll also get this bobble down. Goyf doesn't really outgrow Delirium very easily in this matchup. Underworld Breach to the graveyard is one way to do it, but pretty unreliable. So now they have Delirium off this iteration, and they could just have Unholy Heat, and Goyf goes bye-bye. If they don't have Unholy Heat, Goyf is going to be pretty scary for them here. Okay, they just straight up exile Unholy Heat. Well, that's really good for them. I assume they might have even already had Unholy Heat in their hand. So now I wouldn't be surprised if they have another Unholy Heat based on that play, but maybe I'm wrong. Alright. They have a Ragavan on top that they're going to draw. It's good to know about. I'm actually okay Like, I don't want any more lands here, so if there was a land on top, I'd be okay shuffling it away with the fetch, even if it means Spire Bluff enters tapped. But an extra bolt I'm pretty happy with, knowing they have at least a Ragavan in hand. So we know that we're going to trade with that Ragavan, and then having another bolt for their next creature feels okay. We can just bolt it now. So they're kind of holding up Counterspell here, which makes me not want to play this Goyf out. Just like waste their mana here. And play the Goyf on a different turn. We'll bolt the Ragavan and then we'll get a Surveil land. Thundering Falls is fine. Don't need double green, really. Questing Druid on top seems good. They're stuck on 3 lands, notably, so again, just like wasting their mana here seems good, and we have the Questing Druid now to use on their turn. I guess we're not even in a rush to use the Questing Druid. If they do nothing here, we can just do nothing. Because they could have like Counterspell plus Spell Pierce, which would then make like letting them convert that is unnecessary if they're just drawing. If they have 6 spells in hand. Because then if we draw a land, we like can beat the Spell Pierce. This is a pretty common dynamic I talk about in the Murktide Mirror, where just like getting behind on land drops and being forced to start playing your spells is an easy way to lose. Now, it's not at a critical point yet, so I think I'm not going to still because of what I just said, basically. Like, they could just draw a land. But if they don't draw a land, then I'm going to also do nothing. Because next turn they have to go to discard or do something. Bolts. I think I'm binning this bolt. I already have an Unholy Heat. I'm probably looking for like some card advantage spell, Underworld Breach, another Druid, something like that. Alright, in response, let's Seek the Beast, because if they want to counterspell the Seek the Beast, they don't get a Surveil, and also we could hit a counterspell, which we would want to use on anything. Okay, I'm gonna counter back. Seek the Beast is pretty good card advantage. Potentially that's aggressive because they could have, let's see. So 1, 2, 1, 2. We can wait on this Unholy Heat to get an extra counter on our Questing Druid is what I was calculating. So we'll play Questing Druid. We'll Unholy Heat the DRC. Then we'll play Tarmogoyf. Now we have Spell Pierce up. A Murktide Regent would be pretty scary here. We could just Spell Pierce this as a tempo play. Just to like stop the, Murktide from happening. Being worst case scenario. I don't hate it considering we are down pretty substantially on cards. Like making them just use all their mana for the turn is pretty punishing here, I think. Though maybe I'll be proven wrong. I mean, I guess they could just pay. Yeah, actually, now that now that they decided to pay, it doesn't seem as scary. Maybe I got a little bit ahead of myself there. I probably should just held the Spell Pierce so that they could easily have Murktide here, but now they just play it. Well, now they play it. Let me pick your poison them, but now they could have Counterspell to protect it. Yeah. Our plan certainly backfired. That Spell Pierce was potentially dubious. Shredder is fine, though. And if they follow that up with a Murktide, we can Unholy Heat their Shredder, and then pick your poison, the Murktide. Let's start on Consider. Look for a counter spell to protect our pick your poison from Force Negation. Yeah, Spell Pierce is perfect here. Like, we're only afraid of Force Negation at this point, so Spell Pierce is exactly what we're looking for. Otherwise, our opponent should just be dead. Yeah, I feel their pain. They said the Lord's name in vain in the chat. I don't blame them. I mean, Pick Your Poison's a really frustrating card to play against with Murktide Regent. It's made it feel like Murktide Regent just isn't very playable in this current meta, at least. Until people, like, every deck has Pick Your Poisons. Amulet does, Yawgmoth does, Zoo does. Even the Mirror people are playing Pick Your Poison. Tron, Pick Your Poison. Everyone's picking my poison, and I'm just about done with it. I've had enough. But yeah, truthfully, I mean, it's really tough for us to deal with Pick Your Poison. I actually don't need to Spell Pierce that. Well, so if I don't Spell Pierce it, they could find creatures. If I do Spell Pierce it, they could just have the removal spells already in hand. But that seems unlikely, because if they actually already had the removal spells already in hand, you'd want to lead on those to play around to Spell Pierce, right? Or like a Flusterstorm. So I think the Spell Piercing, the iteration there, takes away their outs. I don't know what those outs really are, but takes them away. Alright, our opponent knows they're dead. They're asking some questions now. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video, and then I'll answer their questions. And I will see you guys in the next one. I think this deck seemed promising. I think there's still some tuning to be done. Maybe some more counters are needed right now. Maybe like another Spell Pierce could work since we cut a counter spell. Have some extra counters in the sideboard. And then the mana part is tricky. I think Underworld Breach is what really is appealing to me. The Goyfs and Druids are okay. I really like Bloodman right now, and they make that awkward. But they're really good against Pick Your Poison or making us more resilient to Pick Your Poison, which is why I wanted to try this. So that was the whole purpose of the video, was can we play a deck that's like much more resilient to Pick Your Poison? And I think that we kind of achieved that. I'm not sure that means this is actually a better list than Murktide. So the verdict's still out, guys. Try it out the list. Tell me what you think. Our opponent had 2 Pick Your Poison in hand. So they're 2 Pick Your Poison in hand, not going to get the job done versus this board. And yeah, I'll see you guys next video. Peace.